We've all met people who seem to have everything: money, status, a great career, but deep down, they feel lost. They wake up every day, go to work, come home, and repeat the process, but something is missing. They're successful by all external measures, but they aren't fulfilled. And the reason is simple: they don't know why they're doing what they're doing. Every single person, every single company, every single organization knows what they do. Some even know how they do it, what makes them different, their strengths, their strategies. But very few know why they do what they do. And when I say why, I don't mean to make money or to be successful. Those are results. I'm talking about purpose, cause, belief. The deeper reason that makes you get out of bed in the morning excited to face the day. The greatest leaders, the most inspiring people, the ones who live with deep fulfillment, they all have something in common, and they start with why. They don't just focus on what they do or how they do it, they lead with purpose. And because of that, they inspire action, they attract the right people, and they build a life that isn't just about success, it's about meaning. Think about the people who have changed the world. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't stand up and say, "I have a plan." He said, "I have a dream." Steve Jobs didn't just want to sell computers. He wanted to challenge the status quo and empower people to think differently. The Wright brothers weren't just building airplanes, they were driven by a belief that human beings could fly. They weren't the most qualified, they weren't the best funded, but they had a clear why, and that made all the difference. Now let's bring this back to you. How many people go through life making decisions based on what's practical, what's expected, or what's safe? How many choose careers based on salaries rather than passion? How many spend years chasing promotions, titles, or accolades only to realize that none of it actually makes them feel alive? That's because they started in the wrong place. They started with what instead of why. When you don't know your why, life feels like an endless to-do list. You wake up, go to work, check off tasks, and repeat. But when you start with why, everything changes. Work stops being just a job, it becomes a mission. The people around you stop being just co-workers or clients. They become part of something bigger. Your challenges stop being obstacles and start becoming opportunities to make an impact. Finding your why isn't about having all the answers, it's about asking the right questions. What makes you come alive? What is the cause, the belief, the idea that drives you? What would you do even if you weren't getting paid for it? What is the legacy you want to leave behind? The moment you start asking these questions, you begin shifting from existing to truly living. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to chase success. From the time we're kids, we're told to get good grades so we can get into a good college, so we can get a good job, so we can make good money. And if we do all those things, we're supposed to feel happy, right? But how many people follow this exact path and still feel something is missing? How many people reach the top of their career, have the house, the car, the accolades, and yet deep inside feel empty? That's because success and fulfillment are not the same thing. Success is measurable. It's numbers, achievements, and milestones. It's promotions, income, awards, and recognition. But fulfillment? Fulfillment is different. It's not something you can see or measure. It's something you feel. It's that deep sense of satisfaction that comes when you know your work matters, when you know your life is making a difference. The problem is, too many people confuse the two. They assume that if they achieve enough, if they check enough boxes, fulfillment will follow. They think that once they get that promotion, once they hit that financial goal, once they receive that big award, then finally they'll feel happy. But they don't. Because fulfillment isn't a result of success, it comes from something deeper. Think about it like this. Imagine you're climbing a mountain. Success is reaching the top. It's standing at the summit, looking out over everything below. But fulfillment? Fulfillment is loving the climb. It's finding joy in the journey, not just in the destination. Because what happens when you reach the top? If all you ever focused on was getting there, You might realize too late that you climbed the wrong mountain. We've all heard the stories: the billionaire who has everything but feels miserable, the athlete who wins championship after championship but still feels incomplete, the CEO who built a massive company but feels no sense of purpose. Why? Because they spent their entire lives chasing success, assuming it would lead to fulfillment. But fulfillment doesn't come from external achievements. It comes from knowing that what you do matters, that you're making an impact beyond yourself. The irony is that the most fulfilled people aren't the ones chasing success. They're the ones chasing meaning. They wake up every day driven by something bigger than themselves. They aren't just working for a paycheck, they're working for a cause. They aren't just building businesses, they're building legacies. They aren't just achieving for the sake of achievement, they're striving to make a difference. And what's incredible is that these are often the people who end up being the most successful, not because they chased success, but because they prioritized fulfillment first. So many people spend their lives on autopilot, following the path that society has laid out for them. They go from one achievement to the next, always thinking that the next goal will bring them happiness. But fulfillment isn't something you find at the end of a journey. It's something you create along the way. It's about the impact you make, the relationships you build, the purpose you live by every single day. Success is temporary. It fades. The money, the titles, the awards, one day they won't matter. But fulfillment is lasting. Because when you look back on your life, it won't be the numbers in your bank account or the trophies on your shelf that bring you peace. It will be the moments when you knew, without a doubt, that your life meant something more. Most people go through life playing a game they don't even realize they're in. They wake up every day, go to work, set goals, hit targets, and measure their success based on how they compare to others. They try to get ahead, to win, to be the best. But here's the problem. Life is not a game you win. There is no finish line, no final score, no point at which you can say, I've made it and be done. There are two ways to approach life, with a finite mindset or an infinite mindset. A finite mindset is obsessed with competition, rankings, and short-term gains. It's the leader who only cares about quarterly results. It's the entrepreneur who's only focused on raising the next round of funding. It's the person who constantly measures themselves against others, thinking that if they can just beat the competition, they'll be happy. But the truth is, that's not how life works. Life is an infinite game. There is no winner of business, no winner of relationships, no winner of life itself. The people who make the greatest impact, who build the strongest companies, who live the most fulfilling lives, these are the people who play the infinite game. An infinite mindset is about playing to keep playing. It's about thinking long term, about building something that lasts beyond you. It's about resilience, adaptation, and focusing on the bigger picture. It's about realizing that your competition isn't your enemy, it's your opportunity to grow. That success isn't about being the best. It's about being better than you were yesterday. Think about some of the greatest companies in history, the ones that thrive for decades, not just years. They don't focus on short-term wins at the expense of long-term stability. They invest in their people, they build cultures of trust, they innovate even when they're at the top. They don't just react to market trends, they create them. And because they play the infinite game, they last. Now think about the leaders who inspire us, the ones who stand the test of time. They're not the ones who are obsessed with power or position. They're not the ones who burn themselves out trying to be the richest or the most famous. They're the ones who are driven by purpose. They're the ones who think beyond their own lifetime, beyond their own career, beyond their own success. They lead in a way that ensures their impact will continue long after they're gone. The infinite mindset isn't just about business. It applies to every part of life. In relationships, it means we don't see friendships or marriages as things we win. We see them as something we nurture over time. In personal growth, it means we don't stop learning just because we've reached a certain level. We keep growing, keep evolving, keep challenging ourselves. In leadership, it means we don't just focus on getting to the top. We focus on lifting others up along the way. People with a finite mindset are always in a rush. They chase goals, they stress about timelines, they get frustrated when things don't happen fast enough. But people with an infinite mindset understand that meaningful progress takes time, that setbacks aren't failures, they're lessons, that the goal isn't to reach some imaginary destination, it's to keep moving forward, keep improving, keep making a difference. The real question is this: are you playing the game of life just to win, or are you playing to create something that lasts? We live in a world that tells us money equals success. From a young age, we're taught that the goal is to get a good job, make a lot of money, and buy nice things. The house, the car, the vacations, the luxury. This is what success looks like, right? But here's the real question. If money was the key to happiness, why are so many people who have it still miserable? There's nothing wrong with making money. Money is a tool. It gives us freedom, security, and options. But when money becomes the goal instead of the byproduct, that's when we run into trouble. Because no amount of money can replace meaning. No salary, no bonus, no stock options can fill the void of a life lived without purpose. We see it all the time. People take jobs they hate because they pay well. They stay in careers that drain them because walking away feels too risky. They chase promotions not because they love the work, but because they think the next raise will finally make them happy. And yet, no matter how much they earn, it's never enough. There's always another level, another milestone, another reason to keep running on the hamster wheel. And here's the thing. Money can buy comfort, but it can't buy fulfillment. You can have a six-figure salary and still wake up every morning dreading your day. You can own everything you ever wanted and still feel like something's missing. The real question isn't, how much money can I make? The real question is, what am I doing that actually matters? The most fulfilled people in the world aren't the richest. They're the ones who have found meaning in their work. They're the teachers who don't make millions but change lives every day. They're the artists, the entrepreneurs, the innovators who take risks because they believe in something bigger than a paycheck. They're the people who wake up every morning knowing that what they do makes a difference, not just for themselves, but for others. And here's what's ironic. The people who focus on meaning over money often end up being the most successful anyway, not because they chased wealth, but because they chased purpose. When you do work you love, when you believe in what you do, when you serve others in a way that matters, success follows. Maybe not overnight, maybe not in the way society defines it, but in a way that lasts. Think about the companies that thrive for decades, the ones that aren't just profitable, but loved. They aren't the ones that focus only on money. They're the ones that focus on mission. They put people before profits. They stand for something, and because of that, they build loyal customers, passionate employees, and lasting impact. Now think about your own life. How much of what you do is driven by meaning, and how much is driven by money? How many of your decisions are based on what pays the most rather than what makes you come alive? How many times have you sacrificed passion for a paycheck, thinking it was the safer choice, only to feel stuck, uninspired, and unfulfilled? At the end of the day, money is just a number. It comes and goes. But meaning is what makes life worth living. It's what makes work feel like a calling instead of a chore. It's what allows you to look back one day, not just at a bank account, but at a legacy. Because when all is said and done, it won't be the money you made that defines your life. It will be the impact you had. Every great achievement, every world-changing idea, every breakthrough in history has one thing in common. It started with someone willing to take a risk. Yet for most people, risk is something to be avoided. We are taught from a young age to play it safe, to follow the rules, to stay within the lines. We are conditioned to believe that security is more important than possibility, that certainty is more valuable than potential. But the reality is, the life we truly want, the success we dream of, the impact we hope to make, it all exists outside of our comfort zone. The problem isn't that we don't have ideas, it's that we don't act on them. How many times have you had an idea that excited you, only to talk yourself out of it? How many times have you wanted to try something new but convinced yourself it wasn't the right time? How many times have you let fear of failure stop you before you even started? Fear is natural. It's part of being human. Our brains are wired to avoid risk because risk means uncertainty, and uncertainty means danger. But in today's world, the biggest danger isn't failure, it's stagnation. The biggest risk isn't trying and falling short, it's never trying at all. Because when we let fear dictate our decisions, we don't just avoid failure, we avoid growth. Think about the people who inspire us. The entrepreneurs who revolutionize industries, the leaders who challenge the status quo, the artists who create things no one has ever seen before. None of them got there by playing it safe. They took risks, they faced criticism, they failed, sometimes over and over again, but they kept going. They understood that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. We admire their courage, but we often forget that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's taking action despite the fear. The difference between those who achieve great things and those who don't isn't that one group is fearless and the other isn't. It's that the first group refuses to let fear stop them. They feel the same uncertainty, the same doubt, the same anxiety, but they move forward anyway. Risk isn't reckless. It's not about jumping without thinking. It's about being willing to step into the unknown because staying where you are is no longer an option. It's about choosing progress over comfort, potential over certainty, meaning over safety. And here's the irony. The people who take the biggest risks often end up being the safest in the long run because they grow, they learn, they develop resilience, they build something that lasts. Meanwhile, the people who avoid risks spend their lives stuck in jobs they don't love, stuck in routines that don't fulfill them, stuck in a version of themselves that never truly evolves. There's a reason why some of the most successful companies, the strongest leaders, and the most impactful innovators embrace risk, because they understand that without it, there is no reward. They know that playing it safe might feel comfortable in the moment, but in the long run, it's the riskiest choice of all. Taking risks doesn't mean you won't fail. You will. Everyone does. But failure is not the enemy. Fear of failure is. The real tragedy isn't falling short. It's never trying at all. It's looking back one day and realizing that the life you wanted was always within reach, but you were too afraid to reach for it. So the question isn't whether or not you should take risks. The question is, can you afford not to? At the end of our lives, we won't be remembered for how much money we made, the titles we held, or the things we owned. We will be remembered for the impact we had, the people we touched, and the way we made others feel. Legacy isn't about wealth, it's about meaning. It's about what we leave behind long after we're gone. It's about whether the world is better because we were in it. Yet most people don't think about legacy until it's too late. We get so caught up in the daily grind, meeting deadlines, chasing promotions, paying bills, that we forget to ask the bigger question. What am I building that will outlast me? Because a life focused only on personal success is a life that disappears the moment we do, but a life built on impact that lasts forever. The greatest leaders, the most inspiring visionaries, the people we admire most, all had one thing in common. They didn't just live for themselves, they lived for something bigger. They didn't just aim to succeed in their lifetime, they aimed to create something that would continue to grow long after they were gone. Whether it was Martin Luther King Jr. fighting for civil rights, Steve Jobs revolutionizing technology, or Mother Teresa dedicating her life to serving others, their legacies live on because they built something beyond themselves. But legacy isn't just for famous leaders. Every one of us, in every moment, is building a legacy, whether we realize it or not. Every decision we make, every person we help, every relationship we nurture, every lesson we teach, it all contributes to the mark we leave on the world. The question isn't whether we will leave a legacy. The question is what kind of legacy we will leave. Some people think legacy is about big achievements, but it's not. It's about consistency. It's about the small daily choices that define who we are. It's about how we show up for our family, how we support our friends, how we lead our teams, how we serve our communities. It's about whether we inspire others to dream bigger, to be better, to believe in themselves. Because long after people forget what we did, they will remember how we made them feel. Legacy is built in the moments when no one is watching. It's built in the way we treat the waiter, in the way we encourage a struggling friend, in the way we lead with integrity, even when it's difficult. It's built in the way we lift others up instead of tearing them down, in the way we give more than we take, in the way we create a ripple effect that extends beyond our own lives. Some people chase success, thinking it will give them a legacy, but success alone is not enough. There are plenty of wealthy, powerful, successful people whose names will be forgotten the moment they're gone. And then there are teachers, mentors, parents, and quiet leaders who may never be famous, but whose legacies will live on for generations through the lives they've shaped. The most powerful thing about legacy is that it's not about us, it's about others. It's about making sure that when we leave, the people around us are better because we were here. It's about knowing that we didn't just exist, we mattered. That our time, our energy, our actions added something valuable to the world. So the real question we should be asking ourselves every day isn't just, what do I want to achieve? It's what do I want to be remembered for? Because one day, our time here will come to an end. And when it does, the only thing that will truly matter is the impact we had on the people we leave behind. Most people go through life asking the wrong question. They ask, what can I get? Instead of, how can I give? They focus on what they can take, what they can achieve, what they can accumulate, money, power, status, recognition. But the people who live the most fulfilling lives, the ones who wake up every morning excited about what they do, the ones who leave behind a legacy that lasts, they're not the ones who focus on themselves. They're the ones who serve others. There is an undeniable truth about human nature. We are wired for service. We thrive when we contribute. We find meaning not in what we take, but in what we give. And yet society tells us the opposite. It tells us that success is about climbing the ladder, about getting ahead, about making sure we win. But the paradox is this. The greatest leaders, the happiest people, the most fulfilled individuals aren't the ones who hoard success for themselves. They're the ones who use what they have to lift others up. Look at any truly great leader in history and you'll find one common thread: service. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't march for himself, he marched for the rights of others. Mother Teresa didn't seek wealth, she dedicated her life to helping the poor. Nelson Mandela didn't spend 27 years in prison so he could gain power. He did it because he believed in a cause greater than himself. These people didn't wake up thinking, how can I be successful today? They woke up thinking, how can I serve? And in doing so, they became the kind of people who inspired generations. But serving others isn't just about the big, world-changing movements. It's about how we show up every single day. It's about the way we lead our teams, the way we treat our colleagues, the way we interact with the people around us. It's about making decisions not just based on what benefits us, but based on what benefits everyone. It's about shifting from a mindset of scarcity, where we believe success is a competition, to a mindset of abundance, where we understand that the more we give, the more we all grow. In business, we see this play out all the time. Companies that only care about their bottom line, that treat their employees as disposable, that focus only on short-term profits. These companies might succeed for a while, but they don't last. The companies that endure, the ones that people love, the ones that create cultures of loyalty and innovation, these are the companies that put service at their core. They prioritize their people. They care about their customers. They build trust by showing up not just when things are easy, but when things are hard. And the same applies to individuals. Think about the best boss you've ever had. Were they the kind of person who demanded respect, who led with fear, who made everything about themselves? Or were they the kind of leader who listened, who supported you, who made you feel valued? The leaders we remember, the ones who make a real impact, are the ones who serve. But serving others isn't just about leadership, it's about life. It's about recognizing that our time here is limited, and the greatest measure of our success isn't how much we accumulate, but how much we give. It's about understanding that happiness isn't found in isolation, it's found in connection. It's found in lifting others up, in being part of something bigger than ourselves, in knowing that what we do makes a difference. Too often we think that service means sacrifice, that if we focus on others, we'll lose something ourselves. But the truth is, the more we give, the more we receive. The more we help others succeed, the more successful we become. The more we show up for the people around us, the more we build relationships, trust, and purpose. And at the end of the day, when we look back on our lives, it won't be the titles we held, the money we made, or the trophies we collected that will matter most. It will be the people we helped, the lives we touched, the moments when we put someone else first, not because we had to, but because we chose to. We like to think that success, fulfillment, and growth are personal journeys, that if we just work hard enough, push ourselves enough, and stay disciplined enough, we can achieve anything on our own. But the truth is, no one succeeds alone. No one grows in isolation. No one becomes their best self without the right people around them. Look at any great leader, any world-changing innovator, any person who has built something meaningful, and you will see one common thread: they did not do it alone. They had mentors, friends, colleagues, and supporters who challenged them, inspired them, and pushed them to be better. The people we surround ourselves with have the power to shape our thinking, our habits, our mindset, and ultimately, our future. But here's the challenge. Not everyone around us is good for us. Not everyone who claims to support us actually helps us grow. Some people drain our energy. Some keep us stuck in old patterns. Some discourage us not because they want to hurt us, but because they don't see the possibilities we see. If we aren't intentional about who we allow into our inner circle, we risk surrounding ourselves with people who hold us back rather than lift us up. We've all experienced it. The friend who always has something negative to say. The colleague who discourages us from taking risks. The boss who sees people as replaceable instead of invaluable. The environment where ambition is treated with skepticism instead of encouragement. If we spend too much time around the wrong people, their mindset becomes our mindset. Their doubts become our doubts. Their fears become our fears. But when we surround ourselves with the right people, everything changes. The right people don't compete with us, they collaborate with us. They don't tear us down, they lift us up. They challenge us not to prove us wrong, but to make us stronger. They push us to dream bigger, to think differently, to take risks, to grow beyond what we thought was possible. The right people don't just celebrate our success, they celebrate our progress. They remind us that failure isn't the end, it's a stepping stone. They hold us accountable, not with criticism, but with belief in our potential. They see in us what we sometimes fail to see in ourselves. Think about the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they people who inspire you, who push you, who make you better? Or are they people who drain your energy, who keep you playing small, who discourage you from pursuing your dreams? Jim Rohn famously said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." If you surround yourself with small thinkers, you will think small. If you surround yourself with complainers, you will become a complainer. If you surround yourself with people who are afraid to take risks, you will start to play it safe. But if you surround yourself with people who believe in growth, who push boundaries, who take action, who support and challenge each other, then you will rise to that level. The greatest teams, the strongest friendships, the most inspiring communities are built on trust, respect, and shared vision. They are made up of people who want each other to win, people who understand that success is not a zero-sum game, that when we support each other, we all grow. This is why choosing the right people isn't just about who we spend time with. It's about who we allow to influence us. The books we read, the mentors we follow, the conversations we engage in, these all shape our thinking. If we want to grow, we must be intentional about what we feed our minds and who we allow into our space. And here's the beautiful part. When we surround ourselves with the right people, we don't just receive support, we become the support for others. We become the encouragers, the challengers, the ones who inspire and uplift. We build communities that foster success, not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us. Because in the end, the people we surround ourselves with don't just shape our future, they shape us. At the end of the day, life isn't measured by the money we make, the titles we hold, or the trophies we collect. It's measured by the impact we have, the relationships we build, and the purpose we serve. Too many people spend their days chasing success defined by others, seeking validation, competing for status, living a life dictated by expectations rather than meaning. But the truth is, real fulfillment doesn't come from external rewards. It comes from within. If we want to live a life that truly matters, we must start by asking ourselves the right questions. Are we driven by purpose or just by profit? Are we playing the infinite game or are we stuck chasing temporary wins? Are we surrounding ourselves with people who challenge and inspire us, or are we allowing negativity and small thinking to hold us back? Are we choosing meaning over money? Are we serving others, or are we only serving ourselves? The greatest tragedy in life is not failure. It's spending our time on things that don't matter. It's looking back with regret, knowing we played it safe instead of taking risks, that we chose comfort over growth, that we settled for success instead of striving for significance. So don't wait. Don't waste another day doing something that doesn't inspire you. Don't waste another moment surrounding yourself with people who don't lift you higher. Don't waste your life chasing things that won't fulfill you. Choose to live with intention. Choose to serve. Choose to build something that lasts. Choose to play the infinite game. Because when all is said and done, the only true failure is looking back and realizing you never truly lived.